Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I have Magandang Umaga, Kamusta, Aking Magar Kaibagan, my friends from the Philippines. Yeah, some of you guys might have seen. I had somebody leave me a comment, and since I've started my YouTube channel, I've been going and working on these languages and stuff like that. I know that a majority of my people come from the Philippines that are watching my stuff because I'm covering Wesley so a lot. I've been going back and forth with you guys, learning some Tagalog and, trying to work on some things. So it's like I'm just trying to get into, working with it. So I've had a lot of people respond to me in Tagalog and also giving me suggestions on stuff that they think I should say. So I really appreciate that. But we had a pretty trash situation. Somebody actually just put for me to say a few things, and me just kind of taking the situation they were just trying to give me something nice to say. I actually said a couple bad things in Tagalog. So those of you that have been around and who have subscribed to me recently, all the people that have watched my stuff and stuff, they know that I'm not like that. And so it was just a real trash thing to do. What I'll be doing in the future, anytime anybody gives me any bit of a language to say, I'm just going to make sure I double check, run it through. My Spanish knowledge should have told me a little bit better because one of them actually did look like a bad word in Spanish. But I was kind of assuming that the person was giving me good stuff. I know that pretty much everybody out there is good. I've interacted with, a lot of people from the Philippines. I think just in general, there's a lot of good people out there. So that person was blocked from my channel, so they'll never be able to see anything, and hopefully they don't interact with any of you guys. So I'm not holding it against anybody. I'm definitely not going to change anything I'm doing. I'm still going to be speaking, every different language I can think of. But I had to get on real quick, and I'll be showing you guys this game that I have. But for all the time, I have those chess puzzles for you at the end of the video. And as always, anybody who hasn't subscribed that watches my stuff, please do. I just need a couple more hundred subscribers, and I have my 1,000 that I need. And then that is all she wrote. You will see a lot more of me. Anyway, if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and take a look and see what we have for this game. Bam. All right, so we have knight to f3, knight to f6, c4. We have c5, knight to c3, e6. We have g3, b6, bishop to g2, bishop to b7. We have castles by white. And now we have the English opening, and it is the Symmetrical Hedgehog defense. Rolling through, we have bishop to e7. We got d4. Just striking in the center, of course, trying to, of course, if white allows it, we're going to be pushing this pawn up, and, we're going to have kind of like a Benoni type of structure here. And we're going to be blunting this bishop, so we don't want to allow that. So we have pawn takes d4. We have king takes d4. We have d6, rook to d1. We have castles and bishop to g5. We have knight b to d7. We have knight b5. We have d5. We have pawn takes d5, bishop takes d5, knight back down to c3. And now up to this point, we pretty much have, this is all mainline theory. And this is all pretty much either one or, first or second moves. So we've been playing, pretty computer-like up until this point. As you can see, I mean, both sides are pretty much, have accomplished what they want to accomplish. They pretty much have all their development. They have all of their pieces out. Their rooks are, connected for white. And then, of course, all black would have to do is, move their queen somewhere. And they would be connected as black. So we have bishop to c6. We have rook a to c1. We have h6. And then we have bishop to e3, which is the novelty of the game. Bishop to f4 has been seen twice in this position. Bishop to e3 has not been seen at all. And I think it's kind of interesting because bishop, if we were to go back to where h6 was played, bishop takes f6 was actually the top suggested move. And it really gives white some a little bit of an advantage here. So after bishop takes f6, we would see queen to e3, We see rook to c8, knight to d4. Bishop would take g2, king would take g2. You know, like I said before, you know, both sides are doing pretty well. But black does kind of have a little bit of a problem trying to get this queen somewhere because it is kind of nudged up a little bit. And this queen, you know, is a lot more active. So, you know, white has just a little bit of an advantage here. So going back to what we had, like I said, we did have bishop to e3. And so we see rook to c8, knight to e5, knight takes e5. We got queen takes e5, and we have queen to e8. And so bishop takes c6. You're pretty much going to have to trade that bishop off because if not, you're just going to allow it to take control of this diagonal, which you don't want. So we got rook takes c6. We got bishop to d4. You know, of course, we're looking through. You know, if black plays something, you know, kind of whack, we're going to see checkmate, but we're not going to see that because these guys are a lot. They're too strong for that. And so we have queen to c8, knight to d5. That's a cute little move because, you know, of course, like I was saying before, you can't take here because you're just going to drop checkmate in one. We don't want to do that. You don't want to take because you're going to be taking here. The queen's going to take, and then you're going to be winning a piece here. And you're going to have an isolated pawn, which is going to be kind of hard to defend. So we see bishop to d8. We see rook takes c6. We see queen takes c6. We have knight back down to c3. You know, just keeping that checkmate live. And so we see bishop to e7. So we see f3. And now, like I tell you guys before, you know, f3 is a really useful move because, you know, the knight, you know, once this checkmate thread is gone, the knight would like to try to jump in, you know, to one of these two squares. Now with f3, it makes it impossible. So we have rook to d8. We got king to f1. We got bishop back to f8. So now we don't have the checkmate thread anymore because this bishop is holding the square. So you see rook to d3, rook to d7. We got queen to b5. So queen takes b5, knight takes b5. We have knight to d5. So bishop to f2. We have a6, knight to c3. We have b5. We got e4, pressing the issue. So knight back to f6. We have king to e2. Rook takes d3, king takes d3. We have knight to d7. So white has a little bit of an advantage here. It looks very even, almost identical. But the major differences in the position is the fact that this king is like way back here in the corner, and this king is a lot more active. So it's not like it's a winning advantage, but white definitely has the initiative here in this particular situation. So we have a4. So e5, knight to e5 with check. We got king down to e2. We got bishop takes pawn takes a4, knight takes a4, and we have f5. All right. So in the game we have f4, and you know, actually f4 does it does allow knight to g4, which is kind of annoying because you'd have to back the bishop up here, or you'd have to push pawn. And so it was giving black a little bit more than they need. Something that was you know, an alternate variation, not that it's like super better, but an alternate variation would have been bishop to d4, and then after knight to c6, king would come to d3, and bishop to b4. We'd see bishop to c3, pawn takes e4, pawn takes e4. And as I said before, I mean, this king is all the way in the corner, and this king is a lot more active. So it's just a lot more active position for white to have. So going back to what we had, like I said, we had f5. We had f4. The knight came to c6, and we saw pawn takes f5, and we saw pawn takes f5. Now, if we go back to where knight to c6 was played, and another alternate variation would have been bishop to c5. Really, you know, pressing the issue with the bishops, and then just trying to, you know, get this king into a good situation. So if we tried to avoid the bishop trade and went knight to e7, we would see king to d3. And it just goes back to what I said before. This king is still stuck in the corner, and this king has started to make progress towards the center of the board. And, you know, one day, you know, hopefully it could come over here and grab this pawn, and then you would have a connected pass pawn, or you would have a outside pass pawn. All right. So going back to what we had in the game, like I said, we did have pawn takes f5, pawn takes f5. We have king to d3, king to f7, bishop to c5. So Wesley sees that idea that I was talking about a second ago. And Maxime does not want to trade bishops. So we see bishop to e7. We see bishop takes e7, king takes e7. We got knight to c5. We have a5, king to c4, king to d6, and we have knight back to b3. So we're getting in a situation where it's like pretty even. And we have knights and stuff. So, you know, a lot of times, you know, those can be drawn as well, because you're just pretty much going to be, you know, moving back and forth. But instead of knight to b3, actually, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to the end, and then I'll come back. I want to pause the video at this point and have you guys see what move would have been a little bit superior. So like I said, we did have knight to b3, and then after g5, we have knight to d4, knight takes d4, king takes d4. We have g4, we have b3, and then we have h5. So going back to what we had a minute ago. Now, whenever we had king to d6, I wanted to show you guys a variation a little bit because I wanted you to see what moves are played after the knight to b3 move. And so hopefully it kind of gives you a little bit of a hint. But if you want to go ahead and stop the video real quick and see what Wesley So could have possibly played that might could have squeezed an advantage or possibly a win, go ahead and stop it and take a look real quick. All right, cool. And so something like I said before, that, you know, running back through the moves again, after knight to b3, you did see g5. So hopefully for some of you guys, you thought of the move h4 instead of knight to b3, just as a way to prevent g5, and at least make it to where when g5 did come, you weren't looking at possibly giving, you know, black a pass pawn. And then so after g6, you know, that would be a little bit better of a situation. So, because like I said, if you had this situation, you know, of course you were to take here, you're going to be able to force, you know, you're going to be able to create a pass pawn, you know, takes, and then that's going to be a problem. So that was just something that didn't really need to be allowed. So we had king takes d4, g4. After b3, we have h5, king comes to c4, king comes to c6, king to d4, king to d6, king to c4, king to c6, king to d4, king to d6. And this is actually a draw by repetition. So they did repeat moves 3 times in a row. So that is a draw. And this is, I believe it is, what is this one? Yes, it's round 3. Stop that. Yeah, I switched scenes, so it brought the subscribe button again. So if you needed a reminder, there it was. But yeah, it was so it's round 3, game 3. So right before they went into Armageddon, and so going to these chess puzzles here. This was the chess puzzle I gave you last time, and so like I said, it's kind of hard to see some of these moves sometimes because it's not something that would just naturally come to mind. But here the move is rook to f3. And like I said, this isn't just a natural move that just comes to somebody's mind, because it just looks like it just throws the rook away. But after g takes f3, bishop to f4, and you've blockaded pretty much the queen's ability to laterally, you know, come across and defend. So knight would come to d5, and then after bishop takes h2, king takes h2, queen comes to h4, king comes back to g1. We have bishop to h3. We have f4, and we have queen to g4 with check. We have queen blocking with g3, and then we have knight to e2 check. And after king to h2, we do take the queen with g3. So that's pretty ugly. We don't want to be there. Anyway, so the next one here for you is this one, yeah. I think I might know the answer to this one. I might take a look at it and see what I got. But yeah, if you want to go ahead and set this up on your board, you know, anywhere, and take a crack at it, I will get you the answer in the next video. Not sure when that's going to be. It's getting kind of late here. And, you know, I'm a little knocked off by what happened earlier. I'm waiting for that video to get done, you know, processing, so that I can take a look at it and make sure it's right before I make it public again. I was able to salvage it just because, you know, I'm familiar with how to edit videos now in YouTube. So I was able to trim that part out. So I'm not saying, you know, bad stuff some more. So it's a little bit disappointing, like I say, when, you know, you have somebody, you know, that kind of comes in and they know you're working on a language. Like all you guys know, I've been working on saying different little things in Tagalog for y'all, you know, so that's kind of, like I said, it's kind of trash for somebody to just come through and, you know, give you bad words to say, especially, you know, when you're live on YouTube. So it's not like I'm talking to somebody one-on-one. I'm talking, you know, to possibly the whole world. So like I said, I appreciate you guys coming through, and I will see you guys in the next video.